Aloha, friends and neighbors. Welcome to show 934. And we're going to get into the last week of October. A shocking, twirly, shaky month. And one that probably puts a lot of us in Hawaii worried about lines down and things in the road. And anyway, I'm going to do the sky mirror first. And then I'm going to show you the last half of that interview I did on Dr. Chemo about the basics of astrology in a kind of broad view. So, first of all, well, you've got a Venus-Mars sextile, and it's pretty romantic. In the midst of the chaos, there's a lot of romance around. At the end of the week, the middle of the week actually, Venus trines Neptune, and it gets real dreamy, and the whole love romance thing is a big deal. Here's where the action is. Uranus. Yeah, we had a full moon eclipse on Uranus, and the south node was right there. And guess what? We got Mercury over here opposing it. Mercury stopping and going stationary direct. Yeah. Now this is a very unusual thing. I don't quite know what to make of it. You know, there could be all kinds of problems for Mercury. Mercury is usually kids. You know what? Tornadoes, trains. But Uranus is usually airplanes, buses, trains, tornadoes, earthquakes, kidnappers. They're going to hurt kids. Something fishy's going on here. Now there's a strangeness to this. I don't know whether it's because you're seeing UFOs or all your computers went out, but here's the main thing. Uranus stationed and went retrograde, and it did that July 22nd. And now that station point gets repeated. Uranus comes back there again April 7th, 2015, and then it goes retrograde and goes back to December 25th, 2015, and stops at the same place. Now you'll notice all of these are at 16.5 degrees. And doggone Mercury is stopping October 25th at 16 degrees and opposing all this stuff. So Mercury gets in trouble here. You may not be out of it, some of this stuff, until clear the end of 2015. I don't know what I mean, but I'm concerned for Mercury. And of course, this is a month of, whirlies. It's a shocking month. I don't know whether you'll be shocked by solar flares knocking out your computers, or UFOs, or strange things. I suspect there's going to be some computer stuff going on. We had when Mars in the U.S. government chart opposed Uranus. Remember, I was tracking that. Well, a guy went and burned down some of the air traffic controller stuff in Chicago, blanked out the whole eastern half of the U.S. Nobody flew for a week. I mean, there's a Uranus disaster, see? So I suspect there's going to be computer problems, and they may involve the banks and things and money as you go through this, as where you are now. So you've already seen a lot of this. I haven't. I'm clear here on October 6th trying to do this show, trying to give you an idea of what the future might or might not hold. Let's look at it day by day. We're going to run the moon around the edge of this planetary pattern and see what the heck's going on. And if you're on the Thursday show, the moon's gone into Scorpio, and there's a new moon. That's Thursday morning at 1 degree of Scorpio. A good time to press the restart button, the reset button, and get started on a new month of new projects and things. Yeah, you'll still feel that on Friday, but it's kind of a nice thing, because here the moon Friday morning has a nice trine to Neptune, and here's a nice sextile Friday at lunchtime to Pluto. Discovery is happening on the 24th. I'm not sure what that's about, but don't let your guard down, because here Friday night is a nasty old Jupiter square And here's a conjunction to Saturn. We're all stuck. Can't do too much. Overdoing it. Getting stuck. Saturday the 25th. We're all stuck. You know, it goes through. Saturday afternoon, the moon shifts into Sagittarius. And Sunday morning, there's problems with liquids. And you know, this could be rain, flooding, the results of the hurricane. Could be a rain event too. Hard to tell the difference sometimes, but this is not a comfortable weekend. The moon's still in Sagittarius on Monday the 27th, and it starts with, you know, a sextile to Uranus, a trine to Uranus, and maybe some of your internet is going, there's a lot of truth and wisdom here Monday morning. There's a trine to Jupiter just about breakfast time, and Mercury's there. And so this is a good time to see what runs through your mind and what's on the media. There's a lot of truth and wisdom might be there Monday morning. And don't let down your guard, though, because here on the 28th, the moon's in Capricorn. And right away, Tuesday morning, it hits Mars. And people are angry, and they're impatient, and stuff is happening. You get a little better handle after lunch. There's actually a sextile to the Sun and to Venus, and you rest a little bit, you can get a plan together. But again, you're into the crisis zone. The moon's going to go by Pluto. Eek, a bug. A little panicky here on the 28th. What are we going to do? We can't control anything. Here's the square to Uranus in the full moon point. And, you know, this is chaos. Can't communicate, can't drive around, can't, you know, this is the Tuesday, Wednesday shakings and twirlings. And nothing settles down much until you finally get a plan organized on Wednesday afternoon and evening here. All right, on Thursday, October 30th, the moon's in Aquarius. It squares the sun in the middle of the day, the moon does, and after lunch, so your plans aren't going through very well. But late Thursday night, this is actually 2 a.m. in the morning, this line here, Friday morning, we got a sextile to Uranus, and we're handling some of the glitches, some of the electronic problems, communicating again Friday morning, the 31st. But here we got gridlock again showing up with that Jupiter-Saturn square. The politicians mucking it up, rules and regulations, banking problems, money problems, law problems. Friday night, October 31st. Is that Halloween, huh? Well, the kids are happy in the morning, but, you know, it gets cold in the evening. On Saturday, November 11th, by the time you get up for breakfast, the moon's in Pisces. Has a whole different feel to it. You're looking at a pretty good day Saturday. The moon goes by Neptune after lunch. There's music and higher heart and faith, and makes a nice sextile to Mars here. You get out and do some work Saturday afternoon, you'll be happy. And everybody's kind of proud of themselves Saturday night. You know, and there's actually rewards Sunday morning, some sweets, some sex, some love. Pluto's there in sextile. What happened here, we got Saturday and Sunday showing up kind of blissfully. You know, everybody got a little stoned and got happy. On Sunday night, there's actually a trine to Saturn, and you got to organize, and you're on budget, and you know, I hope I am. Altogether, you know, while you're in this month, since the full moon, October 8th, once a week, the moon is going to hit that 13 degrees in cardinal signs, 13 degrees of Aries or Cancer or Libra or Capricorn, and you know, usually that's happening on Tuesdays. So Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you know, there's going to be glitches. Twist the connections. Put one hand in your pocket if you're going to work in electricity. Okay, what follows is the second half of the show I did with Dr. Kimo, a very bright man, and they put off the airing dates, but we're going to see the second half today. Here we go. This book is about Mayan astrology.
Okay.
And it's done by a guy named Bruce Schofield.
Mayan, not the Mayans.
Mayans.
Okay.
The Mayans had probably the best, better than the Greeks and the Romans.
Wow.
They had an incredible astrology.
But they said the world was going to end based on the Mayan calendar. Was that a
They never said that. It's
who
just
said
more
that?
Pisces
Oh, Pisces, boom.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they like
making him look bad.
Yes.
Not good.
And they distort it into cartoons. Because I went back and read all that stuff. They never said that. What there's these cartoons every 20 years, the Mayans characterize these periods of 20-year periods. And I'll tell you, the one that's really tough comes up in 2032.
Wow.
And that, they're gonna be 20 years following that. That's very difficult. Crops failure, flooding, governments fail, civil wars. Probably that's global warming kicking in, see?
Oh, and so, can you change the course of time? Like if you get a prediction from putting all what you do, all your hard work together on astrology, and you see like, ooh, something. The fact that you see it, can you change it, or is it going to happen? Like,
Just seeing it changes it.
oh, like with Hitler, right? So that person that you mentioned, he saw what Hitler was going to do, and he wrote about it a month before it even happened. I mean, if I was that guy, I would want to change it before it happens. Or is some things unchangeable?
Some things are unchangeable.
Okay.
I tell a little story, came out of the S training, I'll put this in perspective, okay? Every client I do all my work on DVD.
Okay.
I always start with this story.
Okay.
What's life all about, they say? Life is like a train ride,
Okay.
the S trainer said. When you're born, you get on this train, and the train takes you through life. And when you die, it takes you home to your family. He says, now while you're on the train ride of life, stuff happens. There's meals and movies and stops and goes and tunnels, all kinds of scheduled events on your train ride.
Yeah.
He said, now you could sit on the train ride all bummed out. Oh, the food's lousy. And these weird people come by and bug me.
Yeah.
And there's an irritating clickety-clack to the wheels, you know?
Yeah.
And scenery's going by too fast. Ugh. Or he says, you could sit on the train ride more enjoyably. Wow, the food's free. And these strange people come by to entertain me. What fun.
Oh.
And there's a nice rhythm to the wheels.
Oh.
And the scenery's going by nice and
Yeah.
fast. Great train ride.
Oh, positive and negative.
His
Reframe
point
it.
was, the train ride didn't change. It was the same old train ride. It was the person's attitude that changed.
Oh.
And that's where your free will is. It's in your attitude. Because once you decided to get in that body and you incarnated in that body,
Yes.
you climbed on the train. Now you picked it. You knew before you got in there what the train was like and what the schedule was.
Hey, that's Christian. That's some Christian thought too. They say in the spirit world, we chose the body and the course that we wanted to get into, and we just went into it. Our spirit entered our body, and
Yeah, but they had to postulate all this amazing free will.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And like the sign says, shit happens. You know? And that's what you pick up with astrology.
okay.
If I do your chart, I don't get you, the internal you that hasn't changed since you were 8 years old. That's spirit. I get the body. So what's going to happen to the body? Maybe it's going to fall in love. Maybe it's going to get a new job. Maybe it's going to...
Oh.
And that's what I tell my clients. I never give them advice. I don't give them counseling. But you got to know what the train's doing. Because the more you know about the train, the better. You're the spirit riding in that body.
Oh.
The more you know about the train schedule, it gives you time to adjust your attitude.
Towards what's going to happen.
Yeah, one of my sons called me up and said, oh, I'm freaking, man, I got fired, I'm unemployed. I looked at his chart, Uranus was hitting. I said, no, you're free.
Oh, yeah. You're free. Different way to look at it.
Yeah, and
That's
that
a good way to look
actually
at it.
changes things. Everything on the train ride is affected by your attitude.
Yeah. I like it. It's like a paintbrush. We get to paint the picture we
But
want.
your average Christian would cough that up real fast.
What would
You know,
what would they say?
They
They'd say,
don't like the idea that all this stuff on the train is pre-programmed. And that's where the big thing is. It's been, philosophers have fought over it for the last 10,000 years, you know, and I came out of my training as an American and began to see that most of this stuff was programmed because I could spot it and see it coming. And, you know, you have a certain power of creating things.
Yeah.
You know, that in your mind, you picture things and they kind of happen,
Yeah.
okay? But
Wow.
those things are created according to the
Right.
schedule.
So the schedule's on, guys. The train has taken off.
Not everybody can be president.
And not everybody, that's right. So our course in life has been dictated almost to a certain point, but
Yeah, but you picked it.
we picked it. Right, we picked it. So hey, nobody to blame but ourselves in a sense.
Yes.
So the only thing that we have control over is our attitudes towards what's going to happen to us.
Yes.
Or what has happened to us already.
Like Shakespeare said, the fault is not in our stars, Brutus, it's in our Attitude is kind
Oh.
of, you know, so stuff's going to happen.
Interesting.
And everybody's got different chart with different setups for different karma.
stuffs.
Yeah, like, you can't blame a rich man for getting rich. It's in his chart.
But sometimes we like to say, but he was a political maneuver, and it was.
And that was in his chart,
Oh, that was in his chart too. So Hitler, that was in his chart.
yes,
Even Jesus Christ, then,
yeah.
if that is true.
Ah,
If that
yes,
story is
and
true.
that's what Moby Dick found out. And I continued his work. We know that Jesus was born in April. We even know he had the Pleiades rising, and he was a bit of a rebel. You know, he wasn't the high priest everybody thinks. But there's a lot of astrology in the Bible. It's great fun. Moby knew Greek and some Aramaic. And he told me, his name was Don Jacobs. He called himself Moby Dick, a whale of an astrologer.
Okay.
And he was one of my teachers, and he said, when you read the Bible, Rollin, whenever you see the word heavens, it means sky. You go back to Aramaic, it says sky.
Oh.
King James took all the astrology out.
Yeah,
see?
yeah. Wow.
And so when you read Jesus, he talks about the sky all the time. And for me, when he was young, the three wise men were astrologers, right?
Yeah. Because
They had
the
a lot
star,
of money.
right? Follow the star.
That
Oh.
was actually a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction,
Oh.
which has to do with the birth of kings. And these guys would know about everybody. You can look up in books today.
Amazing.
So,
Wow.
you know, Jesus went to Alexandria because after he was of age, the three wise men bankrolled his education. And Alexandria was just a walk away from where he was raised.
Oh,
And
man.
you went to Alexandria, you got trained in medicine, astrology, history, philosophy, the seven sacred
So-
sciences. So when Jesus came out of there,
Yeah.
man, he was a heavy dude. You couldn't argue with him about religion,
Yeah, yeah.
history, or
Yeah, that
things.
down. I don't people know. You know, so this whole thing, there's another cliche, it is what it is, right? Buying happens, like what you say. So this, but I feel like it's a paradox though, because, you know, like when we work with kids, you can be anything you want to be. Well, we may have to rephrase that. What we might have to say is you can have an attitude. I mean, look, how would we, maybe, you know, I don't like this idea actually that life is predetermined. Or that this whole predestination.
You've been raised in America.
Wow.
But if you were raised in India,
Yeah.
you know, or a lot of other countries, you'd take it for granted.
Okay, so we've been brainwashed to think that we can dictate our life outcome.
Yeah, you're brainwashed to think that that rich man made all his money because he was so great. No, it was just in his chart. Sorry. If you ask him, it was an accident how he ran into all that money.
Yeah. So this is why people would want to know their chart then.
Yeah.
To see what lies before them.
You know, you gotta know when to hold them and when to fold them.
Wow.
Jupiter goes around every 12 years. It goes around your chart, and it just opens things up. Yeah, there's where the goodies are.
What if there's negatives in
Saturn
the
goes
chart?
around every 28 years, and it closes them down.
What if there's sickness and maybe people don't want to know that?
They're always better off to know it.
Yeah.
You know, nobody knows even how to predict death anymore. That's a secret. There's a lot of secrets that I'm not willing to talk about too much, but in the world of sports, that's interesting. Gambling, huh?
Yeah.
I did a lot of that. One of my sons was a basketball whiz using astrology, gambling. But it came down to, like, I got involved with prize fighting, and I had a client who owned some fighters.
Yeah.
And I could get their accurate birth date, so I knew their rising sign, and so I went after it. I looking at the big fight, a lot of money, but damn, all you see is these guys having a big fight, and they both make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So you couldn't tell who won.
Oh.
So I started doing the morning after
Yeah.
at breakfast, when each fighter got up in the morning and faced his family.
Yeah.
The winner was, and the loser was, I made a lot of money, but I lost. And you could tell from their attitude
Oh.
who lost and who won. You can do that with politicians if you
Yeah.
know, but they don't want to know either.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So how has astrology helped you in your own health or in your own life?
Well, it keeps me out of a lot of trouble
Oh.
because I can see stuff coming up, and you can see little things happening,
Yeah.
and I'm getting more angry about little things, so I better calm my temper,
Yeah. You know what I like.
change your attitude.
You know, I'm much more aware of astrology, and I think I have a better sense of where we went wrong, and maybe all the misconceptions about current astrology as it's known in pop culture, which is a big disservice. Now that
Oh, it's terrible.
now that you've shared
It's
that.
really like a pair of binoculars or a microscope. You can use it to study anything.
Yeah.
You're just studying time. That's
Right.
why his book is called Signs of Time.
Signs of time, and that's why. So we shouldn't be real afraid of it. I think if we look at it as a magnifying glass or binoculars, it just helps us to get a better sense of what's out there and what's about to come. And it's not something that we should be
gonna
afraid
believe
of,
in.
or you're going to believe or worship.
Nobody prays to an astrological thing.
Right, right. It's just information, actually.
But I'll tell you, these guys, they led me to know about the sun and the moon at no shadow times.
Yeah.
And I met the moon, and I had an intense religious experience with my mother in the sky.
Oh.
And after that happened 5 years later, I met my son. I was out swimming and I saw the sun up here and the rays came down and I had this enlightenment and this words in my head. And I met my father.
And you can't deny that
You know,
experience.
the Mayans were doing this all the time.
Wow. So they're really connected with the universe and nature and the whole
It's
thing.
totally, I mean,
Are there-
religion is not, these two
Right.
signs are next to each other.
Right, right.
They take turns.
Yeah.
So 2,000 years of belief in Pisces and 2,000 years of science in the mind.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what happens.
That's what happens. Well, I know the Mayans, are they the ones who like can't explain, like when they try, when they fly over and they see the artwork on the ground?
That's a Nasdaq line. It's the
Oh.
same culture.
Same culture, yeah?
Yeah, it comes from Peru.
And nobody can explain, how did that bird, on top, how did it look like do they have communication with the gods or people are?
No, they're just pictures of the sky. The big spider is Orion's
Yeah.
belt and stuff. They're a
How
lot
did
of
they do it on the ground? That's incredible.
the three pyramids that you see in Egypt. Everybody notices Orion's belt, 3 stars in a row, but one star is a little bit off.
Yeah, yeah.
So is the pyramid. The pyramids also have the hands of Orion. The
Terrific.
pyramids were built so people would say, as above, so below, and it was.
Like
They're
that.
trying to teach us those
That's true.
10,000-year-old Egyptians.
Well, to me, it takes a lot of humility, I think, to open yourself up to something that might not be within pop culture, and you've helped bring out and to broaden their horizons on
And study
astrology.
it secretly.
Yeah, well, but you also allowed us a glimpse of what it really is, as opposed to the horoscope that the newspapers put out.
Yeah,
So
we have some fun. We
appreciate
do
that.
predictions.
Yeah.
I predicted our president was going to get a little lunatic-like, right on time. He did.
Right on timing.
Yeah.
So, well, we really appreciate you. I think there is a lot of room for astrology, and if people can just.
Well, it's going to
walk
open
into
up.
it.
We got 2,000 years of opening it up again.
That's right. That's right. So,
Which means religion is going to close down a bit.
yeah, and people got to be kind of okay with that.
And strangely, that's
Oh yeah, we do it instead. From the mountain to the ocean, from the windward to the leeward.
okay. I'm back running live here. The mention in that show of I predicted the thing about the president was that full moon, and when President Obama had that full moon right on his rising sign, suddenly he started wearing these color suits. He wore moon-colored suits. Yeah. And then shortly after that, they showed that he was a bit of a lunatic, He suddenly changed his appearance into moon color, saying, "Look, I'm the moon." And then along came ISIS and beheaded the guy, and everybody's freaking out, which I kind of predicted too. I told you that we were going to have this big overreaction to Mars because in the USA chart, Mars did these things. It moved up and opposed. When Pluto moved up here, we had 9/11. But I know that when Mars moves up, he goes by kind of fast. Anyway, he's a young man. Here's a young guy with a knife. And, I try to tell people beheading is painless. Lavoisier was a wonderful chemist and an astrologer. And when he got mixed up in the French Revolution and they ran him through the guillotine, he made an experiment where they held up his head to see how many times he could blink after it was severed. And he blinked like over a dozen times. And, Saudi Arabia beheaded 12 people last month, so let's get real. But it was horrifying, when Mars was here squaring the moon. And, these dates were the exact times, and they were a little bit rough. But nevertheless, here's September 7th. Here was all the horrification of these savages, and, well, we're bombing the hell out of ISIS, and they beheaded one journalist, and we freaked out. I mean, what's going on? We bombed a lot of people, killed a lot of innocents there, and they're just telling us to look out. But anyway, it all started kind of on that middle of September. Now, when Mars moved up a little more, it opposed the rising sign of the U.S. at 5.5. We had the young man jump the fence and run into the White House, and he ran all over the first floor of the White House with his pocket knife or something, and we got a little body hit. The thing that interested me even more was the third thing here, September 25th or 6th, when Mars opposed Uranus. Now, Uranus is in the first house of the USA government chart, okay? And it's at 856. So when Mars hit 856 of Sagittarius here, and it opposed that Uranus, you know what happened? Holy cow. One guy went in there, one workman, one young man again, and with a little fire, Mars uses fires and sharps. He managed to knock out all of the airplane direction, for the whole East Coast. And you know, all the airplanes in the half of the United States shut down because they didn't have controllers because of this one sabotage that this young guy did on the main computers in Chicago or something. And so I wanted to let you know that the Mars opposing the Uranus, kind of the biggest hit, you know, of all. Well, now we've got a full moon on Mars, and Mars is up to 13 degrees. And we got a full moon that's going on that's actually setting off the Sun-Saturn square in the U.S. chart. Now, Saturn rules the bankers and the legal guys and all of that. The Sun has to do with your home. And so we got a month of worrying about banks and mortgages and credits and all kinds of stuff like that. And it's kind of clear that one of our weaknesses, in a way, is the computer stuff. And when one guy could knock out all the air controllers for half of the United States, you know, that tells you something. So, you're having a full moon now. You're in it. And it's in cardinal signs. And you're probably a little worried about paying the bills. And I suspect that's because of this Uranus stuff. I mean, those guys are operating all on computers now, aren't they? Yep. The full moon will produce some brotherhood, even though it becomes chaotic in everybody's lives. Come back next week.